Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
So today we've got this pretty hefty stack of sources. We're talking articles, bits of research, newsletters.
Yeah, a real mix. Covering, AI's impact on work, but also some wild science stuff, industry news. It's all in there.
Exactly. And our goal, as always, is to basically sift through it all for you. Pull out the most important bits, the surprising facts.
And give you the context so you actually know why it matters, right? Get you informed fast.
Okay, then. Let's unpack this stack. Where should we start? Maybe with AI and jobs? That seems like a big one.
Sounds good. There's this finding that kind of challenges the usual narrative. It's from a big PwC study.
Oh, yeah. What study was that?
They looked at nearly 1 billion job ads across 6 continents. Huge data set.
Wow. Okay. And what did they find that was, different?
Well, instead of just AI is taking jobs, the big takeaway was that AI skills are making certain workers much more valuable. They found a really significant wage premium.
A wage premium? How much are we talking?
The number that jumped out from the sources was 56%.
56? That's
Yeah.
huge. Is that just for, AI developers in Silicon Valley?
No, and that's the interesting part. The sources stress this is accelerating everywhere,
Yeah.
across all kinds of industries.
Right.
Like agriculture, construction.
Yeah.
Sectors you might not immediately picture using advanced AI day to day. But it's happening.
Okay. So it's less about wiping out jobs and more about changing them, upgrading them.
Exactly. Think of it as upgrading roles. The
Mhm.
material gives a couple of good examples, like an info analyst. Let's call her Amina.
Right.
Instead of spending ages on grunt research, she uses AI agents for that. Frees her up for the high-level thinking, the strategy, makes her way more productive.
Takes away the boring stuff.
Pretty much. Or John, a customer support agent. The AI handles the simple, repetitive questions.
Mm-hmm.
So John focuses on the really complex customer problems, the ones needing empathy and real judgment. His role gets elevated.
Okay, I see. It's about changing the nature of the work. And does this actually help companies? Is there proof of that?
Yeah, the sources connect this directly to performance. Industries that are better at using AI, they're seeing about 3 times higher growth in revenue per employee.
3 times. Wow.
And productivity growth. It's apparently nearly quadrupled since 2022 in those AI-savvy sectors. That really lines up with when generative AI became widely accessible.
Quadrupled productivity growth. That's an insane pace. Are we seeing other shifts? Like in hiring?
This is interesting, too. For jobs that are, heavily exposed to AI, employers are apparently demanding formal degrees less often than for low AI jobs.
Oh, yeah. So it's more about what you do with the tools.
Seems like it. Practical skills, leveraging AI, that's becoming maybe more important than the diploma in some cases.
Skills over sheepskins, huh?
Yeah.
Any surprises in who's doing these jobs?
One detail that stood out across the countries they studied, slightly more women than men are currently in these AI-exposed roles.
Oh, interesting. That kind of cuts against some stereotypes.
It does. Shows how broad the impact is.
Now, this all sounds pretty positive. Wage premiums, productivity boosts. But is there another side to this? A counter-argument in the sources?
Oh, absolutely. It's not all rosy. Some sources definitely acknowledge the argument that, AI is hitting entry-level positions harder. Things like basic coding, maybe data entry.
Right, this stuff that's easier to automate first.
Exactly. And there's a big question mark over whether this wage premium, this job growth is, sustainable long-term. If AI gets even better, can it do more complex tasks? Will companies just need fewer people overall eventually?
So the jury's still out on the long-term balance. It's complex.
Definitely multifaceted, not a simple story.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Moving from the big picture job trends to specific examples. How is AI actually being used right now, according to these sources?
Well, there are some pretty ambitious plans. Meta, for example.
Facebook and Instagram's parent company.
Right. They're apparently aiming to fully automate ad creation with AI by the end of 2026.
Fully automate, like the whole process.
Yeah, the idea is brands could use AI to generate everything, the visuals, the copy, the targeting, even personalize ads based on, where you are.
That could seriously shake up the advertising world.
It feels like a big shift. And it's not just private companies. Look at the FDA.
The Food and Drug Administration, what are they doing?
They've launched this internal AI tool called ELSA.
ELSA. Okay.
It's for all their employees, meant to speed things up. There was this one example cited reviewing a clinical protocol, usually takes maybe 2-3 days with ELSA. 6 minutes.
6 minutes, down from days. That's incredible efficiency.
It really is.
Yeah.
Especially for crucial processes like that.
What about other professional fields? like law or accounting.
Definitely seeing AI move in there, too.
Yeah?
Thomson Reuters launched something called Co-Counsel.
Co-counsel, what does it do?
It's described as an agentic AI system, meaning it can handle complex stuff more autonomously. For tax and accounting pros, it can do things like review client files across multiple states. One example mentioned cut a review task covering 36 states from half a week down to under an hour.
Again, days or weeks turning into hours or minutes. That seems to be a recurring theme.
It really does. The time savings are potentially huge.
Any more unusual or creative uses popping up?
Yeah, a couple of fun ones. High-end chefs apparently using ChatGPT.
To do what? Cook?
Not quite. To design entire menus. Some are even creating, like, fictional AI chef personas and having conversations with the AI to develop multi-course meals based on that persona.
Seriously, chefs collaborating with AI alter egos.
Yeah.
That's unexpected.
And then in manufacturing, Audi's using AI in, like, over 100 projects.
How so?
Quality control is one area, AI systems, spotting defects, that sort of thing. Apparently saving about a minute per car on the line and boosting efficiency up to 20% in those specific tasks.
A minute per car adds up fast. And healthcare, beyond the FDA reviews.
IBM and Roche teamed up on an AI-powered diabetes management app.
Okay, what does it do?
It predicts blood sugar levels up to 2 hours ahead. And this is key. It can warn users 30 minutes before a potential hypoglycemic event, a dangerous low.
Wow, predicting lows half an hour in advance. That could be genuinely life-saving for people with diabetes.
Huge potential impact, yeah.
Any other consumer-facing tools mentioned? Things people can try now.
Yeah, a few bits. Bing has a video creator now powered by OpenAI's Sora model. Lets you make short, like 5-second videos from text prompts. It's free, but with some limits.
Okay, accessible video generation. What else?
Character.ai, the conversational character platform. They're adding multimodal stuff, scenes for interactive stories, Avatar FX to turn pictures into video avatars.
So more interactive and visual AI tools becoming available.
And there was one slightly eyebrow-raising mention.
Oh.
An experimental phone agent. An AI that can literally use an iPhone by mimicking swipes and taps.
Like it has virtual fingers?
Sort of, but the detail was that it apparently sends everything it does back to OpenAI. Which, raises some questions.
Yeah, an AI using your phone that phones home with everything.
Yeah.
Definitely gives you pause. Okay, before we leave AI applications, was there a practical tip in there for using these tools better?
Yes, a good one. When prompting, especially for ideas, don't just ask for one thing.
Yeah.
Ask for multiple options right away. Like instead of give me a title, say, give me 15 plus alternative titles. Or list 2 totally different approaches to this problem.
Force it to give you variety from the start.
Exactly. Often leads to better, more creative results than just taking the first answer.
That's a smart tip.
Yeah.
Okay, we spent a lot of time on AI, which makes sense given its impact, but the sources covered a lot more ground. Let's broaden out. What other science or tech breakthroughs were highlighted?
Right, shifting gears. There's some really exciting medical news out of Japan. Clinical trials for a universal artificial blood.
Universal, as in works for any blood type. A, B, O, positive, negative, all of them.
That's the claim, universal compatibility. And get this, it can supposedly be stored for up to 2 years.
2 years. Wow. That would be revolutionary for emergencies, remote areas, military, everywhere, really.
Totally. Huge implications if it works out. They're aiming for practical rollout around 2030, according to the sources.
Fingers crossed for that one. What else in biotech or science? Something about plastic.
Yeah, this was cool. Researchers found a new type of fungus, lives in the ocean.
Okay.
And it can degrade polypropylene, that really common tough plastic.
The kind used in everything from containers to car parts.
That's the one. So finding a fungus that can actually break it down, that's a potential new weapon against plastic pollution.
A plastic-eating fungus. Sounds like sci-fi, but it could be amazing. Speaking of sci-fi, dire wolves. What was that about?
Ah, yes. Colossal Labs, the de-extinction company.
Right, trying to bring back woolly mammoths and stuff.
Well, the sources mentioned they're now claiming to have brought back dire wolves. And they plan to release recordings of their howls later this year.
Brought back dire wolves.
Ah.
Okay, that's certainly ambitious and maybe a little unnerving. We'll see how that plays out.
Definitely one to watch.
All right, moving away from biology for a second.
Yeah.
What about broader industry stuff? Market shifts.
Well, tied back to AI again, there's intense competition heating up in the database market.
Makes sense. AI needs tons of data.
Exactly. So you see big moves like Snowflake buying Crunchy Data for $250 million and Databricks buying Neon for A cool billion.
A billion for Neon. Wow. So it's a land grab for the data infrastructure that powers AI.
Pretty much. It's foundational.
Any other big market shifts?
Yeah.
Maybe globally?
Yeah, there's a trend noted in China. Big tech companies there, Alibaba, Tencent, Baidu, they're apparently relying more and more on domestic chip suppliers.
Instead of, like, NVIDIA? Why is that?
Seems to be a mix of things. Global shortages of the top-end AI chips, plus the impact of U.S. export controls tightening things up, pushing them to build up their own chip capabilities.
Okay, so geopolitics driving tech supply chains. Makes sense. There was also a really weird detail about Meta and a power plant.
Oh yeah, this was strange. Meta is paying billions to keep an Illinois power plant running until 2047.
To power their data centers, presumably.
You'd think, but the sources say their stated reason is actually to lower their overall carbon footprint.
Wait, how does keeping a power plant open lower their carbon footprint? That seems backwards.
Right. It probably involves some complex accounting with clean energy credits or offsets related to that specific plant's operation versus, say, building new transmission lines or relying on a dirtier grid mix elsewhere. It's complicated.
Definitely counterintuitive. And does this tie into a bigger issue for power companies?
Absolutely. The massive energy demand from AI data centers is putting huge pressure on electric utilities.
How much pressure?
Sources estimate data centers could drive up U.S. electricity demand by 25% by 2030.
25%. That's enormous.
It is. And utilities are scrambling. They need huge investments in generation and grids, and they're looking at different ways to fund it, maybe even private capital, mergers.
Yeah.
It's reshaping the whole sector.
So AI isn't just changing software, it's changing the physical power grid? Wow. Okay, let's quickly touch on cybersecurity and privacy. Any worrying news there?
Unfortunately, yes. A ransomware attack hit Kettering Health's network pretty hard. Shut down medical centers for 2 weeks.
2 weeks without systems at hospitals. That's incredibly dangerous.
It's a stark reminder of how vulnerable critical infrastructure is. Patient care directly impacted. Really serious stuff.
Definitely. What about privacy? Any updates?
On the platform side, Reddit's adding a new setting, content and activity, supposedly for more user control over profile visibility.
Okay, more controls are usually good. Anything less positive?
Yeah, there was a discovery highlighted. Tracking code from Meta and Yandex found on millions of websites.
Yandex, the Russian tech giant, what was the code doing?
It looked like it was trying to link users' web browsing activity with their activity inside Android apps. Basically, trying to de-anonymize people across different contexts, likely bypassing some privacy settings to build richer profiles.
So the cat-and-mouse game of tracking continues. Always trying to connect the dots.
Seems like it.
Okay, quick hits on upcoming tech. What's rumored?
Google's Pixel 10 phones might be coming around August 13th. Rumors suggest maybe 4 models this year. Regular, Pro, Pro XL, and even a Pro Fold. Plus, maybe a Pixel Watch 4.
An expanded Pixel lineup. Interesting. And Apple.
Their big developer conference, WWDC, is June 9th to 13th. Lots of operating system updates expected, but the big buzz is around more AI news, how they're integrating AI into iOS, macOS, etc.
No surprise there. Everyone's talking AI. Okay, just a couple more things from the sources. There was something positive about work-life balance.
Yeah, more studies on the 4-day work week, still showing good results. Less burnout, better health for employees.
But without hurting the company?
Right. Maintained or even improved performance revenue, fewer sick days, people quitting less, and this is typically without cutting pay.
How do they manage that? Maintain productivity in less time?
One common trick mentioned, cutting down on meetings. Fewer, shorter, more focused meetings seems to be a key part of making it work.
Fewer meetings. I think many people can get behind that. Okay, 2 final distinct points. One about open source software.
Yeah, an interesting side note. Open source software, often seen as a hobbyist thing, was reportedly used in those Ukrainian drone attacks in Russia that took out some missiles.
Wow. Shows how powerful and adaptable that tech can be, even in warfare.
And the very last point was about typing.
Typing speed. How is that relevant?
Well, the argument highlighted was that learning to type fast can actually make you a better developer.
Really? How?
The idea is it reduces friction. You can get your thoughts into code faster, write documentation more easily, interact with tools quicker, less frustration, maybe better flow.
Huh. Never thought of typing speed as a coding skill enhancer, but I can kind of see it.
It's just a little practical tip tucked away in there.
Okay. Wow, that was quite a tour. From AI rewriting job descriptions and boosting wages to universal blood, plasticating fungi, dire wolf howls, billion-dollar database deals, and typing speed.
It's a lot. Shows how interconnected everything is and how fast things are moving, especially with AI sort of accelerating everything else.
Absolutely. Which kind of brings us to our final thought, something for you, the listener, to chew on.
Given this incredible pace, especially with AI changing what skills matter, opening new doors.
How quickly can we actually adapt? As individuals, as companies, as whole industries, is it fast enough to not just, keep up, but to really use these changes for growth, for solving some of these huge problems like plastic waste or blood shortages?
It really boils down to agility, doesn't it? Our collective ability to pivot and learn in the face of really rapid, deep change.
That's the big question. Well, we hope this deep dive gave you a useful shortcut through all that material.
Yeah, hopefully pulled out the insights you need without you having to read the whole stack.
Thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive. Keep exploring, stay curious,
Definitely. Keep asking questions.
and we'll catch you on the next one.